Brother Austin's asked me to talk a little bit about why I become a Mason, and I'm glad to do that. My dad joined the lodge in 1972, as were many members of the Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church that I attended. I watched them. I watched the camaraderie that Masonry brought to them, and it was just interesting to me. I thought, I don't know what's going on with that. I want to be a part of it. And that was half what influenced me to petition the lodge. The other half was I worked at a grocery store here in town through my high school years. And one of our cashier's husband was a Mason, Brother Hope McMicken, a member of Bartlett Lodge, a very nice man. And he would come by and stay at the store sometimes till his wife got off work. He'd just come sit there in the window we had. And I noticed this about him. When he came to the store in a coat and tie, he'd been to a Masonic funeral. If he didn't have a coat and tie on, he'd probably just come visiting. He came in one Saturday afternoon and he had his coat and tie on, so I said, I got him. I said, Brother Hoke, you been to a funeral today, hadn't you? He said, no, I hadn't. I thought, well, you always wear a coat and tie. He said, I've been to 2 funerals today. I said, really? He said, yeah. They had one that morning in Alabama, came back over here and had one that afternoon. I said, you must have knew them men very well to do that. He said, I'd never met either one of them. I didn't know what would make a man go to 2 funerals on a Saturday, the people he didn't know, but I wanted to find out. So between that and those men that I knew, I wanted to petition the lodge, and I did, and in 1982, and came through, and I've been blessed to serve in several capacities in the lodge and in Masonry, but it has impacted my life in a way that I would have never imagined. I've said this a lot of times, that if you stay in the box that you're raised in, you never broaden your horizon. And that's what Masonry did for me, is it's let me meet people from all over the world and let me understand their views about things and help me to understand a lot of things about life. Friends across this country that I would have never known, and I think how much I desire to know more, how they've influenced me, and what a loss it would have been had I not ever met those people. And I laugh at those people that's anti-Masonic. Most of the time, they don't understand what they're talking about, and it's most of the time it's taken out of context. I read this several years ago, and it applies to Masonry so much. A text without a context is a pretext. If you don't take Masonry as a whole, you can really get misled about it, but it's all symbolic. If you will apply that word to it, it takes away a lot of the negativity, but it does sadden me when people will talk so bad about Masonry when they don't know. They're ignorant of the fact of what we really try to do. But this lodge has been a great influence on me, a great help to me, and all I've ever tried to do is give back what I've been given.
You know, we talked about how what caused you to want to become a Mason, but talk to me about like those first couple of years of you being, part of this lodge and going through the seats and making your way and finally getting there. Was it 89 when you became Worship Master? Tell me a little bit about that.
I came, I believe it was October that I was raised. I didn't stand my examination till January because of the holidays. We only met once a month. I was working as an EMT. My coach actually come and coached me in Amlex some nights when we was waiting. But that first year, I was just a member. I was in awe of the whole Masonic process. I never would have dreamed it was as involved as it was. I sat on the sidelines for a year, started coming to practice a little bit on Monday nights and learning a ritual, which anybody's invited to do that's a Mason, to come to our practices. And I really took an interest in it. And so the following December, there's a progression in the line of officers, and you move up, hopefully in 7 years. Well, at that time, a tradition was a Tyler would move in and take the junior steward's position. Well, our Tyler was Brother Rogers Goer. He saw my interest, and he wanted me to start as junior steward inside the lodge. And I told him I couldn't do that. I wasn't going to jump somebody. He says, I'm too old. I'll never be able to get to be master, so I want you to do it. And so he talked to some brother and told him what he wanted to do. And so that was my start. And I worked my way through the chairs. The only chair I did not sit in was junior deacon, We had a brother that had to go to Lockheed for work, and we all advanced an extra chair. Becoming master in 1989, it was an experience. It was a challenge. I was probably the youngest Mason in the room at the time. Brother Rogers asked me about where my hat was at. I told him that my budget for the master didn't include that year. I sent out Masonic birthday cards to every member, asking them to be here. I'd recognize them, so that was kind of an expense for me at that time. Next meeting night, he brought me a Robley beaver hat, which is a very nice hat. He said, "Here, you gonna wear that this year?" And I said, "Well, thank you." So I wore it that year. End of my year, I got him west of the Holy Altar and made a big presentation, giving it back to him. Told him I hope I hadn't brought any shame to your hat, and so on and so forth. And he said, "Brother Eddie," said, "you've done a good job." And he said, "I just want you to keep that hat. I wear it today when I confer a master's degree. I've kept it that long, and those are the treasures that can't be bought." So he gave me that hat, and I wore that, and so that was a big blessing for me.